Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Hey, officer, you're green, aren't you? It was a hot, humid day as I pulled up into the dirt parking lot. I started seeing dust rise all around me, and I thought to myself, man, I just washed my car. As I opened the door, I gently stepped out, placing my feet on the dirt ever so lightly so the dust wouldn't ruin my polished shoes. My uniform was brand new. It was ironed, creased, pressed. My haircut had a nice razor edge hairline to it. As I entered the building, it was my first day on the job as a correctional officer. As I sat there and listened to the debriefing, my heart started thumping very hard. I thought to myself, this is the real deal. An ensemble of 12 officers entered the facility. It was hot, cigarette smoke filled the air. The building was a little old and dingy. As we entered the building, I saw officers waving at each other, nodding heads at one another, and other officers hurriedly exiting the building. It was shift change. As I started toward my particular post, I saw the look of the officer staring down at me. He was now looking at his watch. I approached him, greeted him, and all of a sudden, took his keys, tossed them in the air at me, and I caught them. The keys were very large. They seemed to weigh about 5 pounds. And the officer started walking down the hallway. I said, but, and he said, no buts. What do I do? He looked at me. What did they teach you in the academy? Do what they taught you in the academy. And he left. He said, you'll be fine. I stood there shuffling through papers, and all of a sudden, I heard a, hey, officer. My back was turned against a steel cage door, and I could see the person from my peripheral vision behind me. He said, hey, officer, what time is it? Turned around, and I thought to myself, oh no, I'm not going to tell him what time it is. Because they told us in the academy that inmates may try to escape if you told them what time it was. So then I said, well, why do you need to know the time? All you have is time, after all. He said, well, because I think it's chow time. Chow time. Well, in the academy, I know what that meant. It was a slang word for it's time to feed. Say, well, I don't think it's chow time because you don't even have a watch. He said, well, you do. And I believe it's chow time. I turned around and ignored him. All of a sudden, I heard banging, loud banging. I looked down the hallway and I could see hands, a lot of hands, with their hands outside the bars, banging on the steel panel down the hallway. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is going on here? I hear my name being called. Hey, Davis! Davis! Let him out! It's chow time! Turned around, looked back at the inmate. He was smirking. I told you. As the inmates exited down the area, I continued on with my work. During the course of the day, I refused to listen to the advice of this inmate. He was trying to give me advice all day long because he said that I was green. Now, the word green, again, was a terminology I learned in academy. Green means that you're new, that you're inexperienced, and he knew that. Suddenly, I heard banging again. I raced down the hallway, and I could see inmates smoking cigarettes, playing cards, listening to music. What is it? What is it? I said. Could you get us some cool water? Not knowing what to do then, walked back down the hallway, and I just stood there. What am I, a servant? Well, as the day passed, the way the facility was set up, it was built right next to the county sanitation department. And as the day passed, the heat of the place, coupled with the smell from the sanitation dump, began to fill the air of the facility. It was something that I learned I had to get used to, and I did. There was no air conditioning in that facility. All during the day, I was asked questions that I didn't have the answers for. I felt a little out of my territory, but I maintained the course. My unsuspecting friend, who I will call the yes inmate, again, yes inmate means that an inmate, terminology I learned in academy, that an inmate that was there to do his time, follow the rules, and never give you a hard time. But surprisingly, as the day passed, I never knew that person's name. What I did get from that inmate was an appreciation for not only my job, but consciously I thought, you know, this person guided me through my entire shift, giving good advice. And if he wasn't in an orange uniform, he can certainly put on my uniform. He knew the job, all based on observation. After that day, I felt a bit seasoned ripe and dismissed the thoughts of being green. Thank you.